We live in a world where we're constantly looking up to others, celebrities, professors, even our family and friends, and asking, what would they do in this or that situation? We put people on pedestals, hoping to find guidance from their words or actions. It's easy to do, especially when we see their success, their influence, or the way they navigate life. But here's the question I want to challenge you with today. Why aren't we asking, what would God do instead? Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. I don't believe in God. That's fair, but here's the thing. Whether you identify with a specific religion or not, the concept of God is about more than just a religious symbol. God represents the highest form of good, wisdom, love, compassion, justice, and humility. Even if you don't believe in God as a person or a divine being, don't you want to be inspired by all that good? I mean, think about it. We often ask, what would a celebrity do? Or what would this professor say? But those people are just humans, like the rest of us. They may have achieved a lot, but they're flawed. They make mistakes. They don't have all the answers. So why should we look up to them for the ultimate guidance? We all have people we admire, people who seem to have life figured out. And we think, if I could just be more like them, I would have it all. But that's the trap. Idolizing anyone, no matter how accomplished, means we are trusting something that's just as imperfect as we are. And that can leave us lost, especially when we are facing big decisions or tough situations. But here's where it gets interesting. Even if you don't believe in God, you can still ask yourself, what would God do? Because in asking that, you're not just seeking religious answers, you're seeking guidance from what is universally good. God, in essence, represents the highest ideals of love, wisdom, and goodness. Why wouldn't you want to model your actions after that? Think about some of the hardest things in life. Things like forgiveness, kindness, and selflessness. These aren't easy to practice. Forgiveness is one of the most challenging things we can do, especially when we've been hurt. But in the teachings of God, we are called to forgive, to love our enemies, to be slow to anger. Imagine if instead of responding with anger or revenge, we asked, what would God do? We might find ourselves choosing compassion instead. And that, my friends, is a ripple effect. It's not just about the immediate moment. It's about creating lasting change in the way we interact with each other. If we all did this, if we all asked ourselves, what would God do in every situation? Imagine the shift in how we treat people. Imagine how it could change the conversation, the communities, and the cultures we live in. Now, studies show that people who live by principles like forgiveness, kindness, and empathy, things we see in God's examples, are happier, healthier, and more fulfilled. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people who feel connected to something greater than themselves tend to experience greater life satisfaction and better mental well-being. And while these studies don't necessarily refer to God directly, they show that living by higher principles, whether they came from faith or just a sense of universal goodness, can improve your life in ways you might not even expect. So even if you don't consider yourself religious, think about the impact of living by principles that encourage love, compassion, and justice. These aren't just good ideas. They're proven ways to bring peace and positivity into your life and the world around you. So here's the challenge. Instead of asking, what would they do or what would I do? Ask yourself, what would God do? You don't have to believe in God in a traditional sense to draw from the wisdom of love, justice, and compassion that God embodies. In fact, by asking that question, you're tapping into something timeless, the ultimate good. And remember, you don't have to be perfect. No one expects that. But by striving to be inspired by the best parts of what God represents, you can create a life that reflects those qualities and bring positive change, not just to your life, but to the world around you. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. And that starts with the question, what would God do?